प्रपन्नार्ति हरे प्रसीद प्रसीद मातर जगतोऽखिलस्य प्रसीद विश्वेश्वरि पाहि विश्वं त्वमीश्वरी देवी चराचरस्य। Salutations to the Divine Mother who creates, protects, and ultimately consumes all this multiplicity which is the cause of our sorrow. Salutations to her who, when propitiated, grants the boon of wisdom. Friends, today is the day when we are worshipping Holy Mother. Since morning through different rituals, there was the worship, then there was singing, and then a video on the life and teachings of Holy Mother, video on Jairam Bhati where she was born, and then had many holy associations, very inspiring incidents which even now attract and illumine those who visit that place. It is not really describable, not even logically understandable. But there are many things in this our life that cannot be logically understood. They are more powerful than logic is. So then now, after that, we are now having this symposium, a discussion by two very learned devotees and practitioners of the teachings of Holy Mother and Vedanta in general. So let us begin at the beginning, isn't it? It's good to begin at the beginning. So let us have the our congregational prayer together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all, thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. There is now an opening song by Rashmi Joshi. So please begin.
जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्री, जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्री, कृपा करो माँ शारद माते, जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्री, तेरा हृदय है प्रेम का सागर, तेरा हृदय बहु जन्मों से कृपा करो माँ शारद माते जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे कृपा करो माँ शारद माते जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे आई हो तुम रूप छुपा के आई हो तुम रूप छुपा के राम कृष्ण सह धर्मिणी हो के आई हो तुम रूप छुपा के हे माँ आई हो तुम रूप छुपा के राम कृष्ण सह धर्मिणी हो के धन्य करो माँ दर्शन दे के कृपा करो माँ कृपा करो माँ जगधात्रे जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे कृपा करो माँ शारद माते जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे ज्ञान रूपा तुम ज्ञानदायिनी ज्ञान रूपा तुम ज्ञानदायिनी भक्ति रूपा तुम भक्ति प्रदायिनी ज्ञान रूपा तुम ज्ञानदायिनी हे माँ ज्ञान रूपा तुम ज्ञानदायिनी भक्ति रूपा तुम भक्ति प्रदायिनी भक्त जनों के पाप नाश कर कृपा करो माँ शारद माते जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे जगत जननी माँ हे जगधात्रे कृपा करो माँ शारद माते
Thank you, dear Rashmi, for this very beautifully presented, excellent song. And incidentally, it is her birthday also today. So her birthday is being observed by thousands of people. And I invite now today's presenters, Donna Maurer and Vishwanatha, both of whom you know many wonderful discourses and lectures we have heard from them. And incidentally, you know, Vishwanatha's birthday also falls today. So, yeah. So he is becoming 80. 79, you know, yeah. Does he look anywhere close? No. So, they will speak on various aspects of Holy Mother, and without much delay, I request Donna. She is such a wonderful speaker, and we always like to listen to her. Because of certain health issues, we could not get her for a long time. So it is a great fortune that on this auspicious occasion we have her here, and we were discussing about topic, and she said she would be glad to speak on the forbearance and perseverance, patience, and such great qualities which are human and yet help us to become divine. So Donna.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to see so many familiar faces and also some new faces that I haven't seen before. Thank you so much, Swamiji, for that beautiful introduction and for asking me to come here today. I'm just going to move this over here. Hopefully I won't lose any of my pages along the way, and if I do, I hope I don't lose my patience. So we'll see. Hopefully this paper, or this talk, working on this talk has been working on me too. So as we all know, and as often has said in English, that patience is a virtue. And again, this is a common phrase that we hear in English, and it actually harkens back to the 5th century. There was a poem written that identified patience as one of the 7 heavenly virtues. In the poem, each of the heavenly virtues was at battle with one of the 7 vices. And patience battles anger. But anger cannot beat patience, and ultimately, out of frustration, anger killed herself. And in the poem, all the vices and virtues were female, so it was probably enacted as a play. I'm not sure. But anyway, if we look at ourselves in any given situation, we might notice ourselves being more or less patient. And even if we aspire to be patient, at times we might be surprised at how impatient we can be. We all have certain things that test our patience. And these things might be somewhat unique to us, but the commonality is that we all have certain weak spots where our patience tends to run thin. We might even use that expression and say, my patience is running thin, or someone is testing my patience, or that we're running out of patience. These expressions suggest that we only have so much patience, and if the patience runs out, watch out. And that's when anger might turn out to be the victor. And we don't have to go very deep to see that impatience is basically a self-centered attribute. We get impatient when things aren't going the way we want. We want something, or we want something in a certain way, and if it doesn't happen, our patience is tested. All this can indicate to us that we need to look to ourselves as the source of the problem. According to Swami Yogatmananda, impatience is the greatest obstacle in spiritual life. So to help us understand patience better, we can look to the life of Sri Sarda Devi. We're very fortunate that so many monks and devotees have recorded their reminiscences of their direct observations of and interactions with Holy Mother. And these have been published in numerous books, including the one that Vishwanatha is holding, a wonderful, wonderful book. And these reminiscences carry a lot of weight because they reflect people's actual experiences and observations. And in reading them, we can share in these observations, in these experiences. These experiences can resonate with us directly and emotionally, which in turn can help us to connect with Holy Mother. Over and over again, we can see Holy Mother's vast patience throughout her life, with her family, with the young monks, with the many people who came to her seeking comfort. And these people often were not very considerate to her. And she was even patient with her own physical suffering, which she bore throughout her life. In other words, Holy Mother wasn't simply patient because she had an easy life. That wasn't the case at all. She is such a good example because she had such a challenging life. And she shows us how to live a pure life amidst numerous obstacles and difficulties. So there are many possible ways to look at Holy Mother's patience, because I like to break things down into categories usually, and so whenever I write something or talk about something, I like to have points, especially knowing that Charlie is here taking notes and is going to write up a summary. It helps me also to organize my own thoughts, but when I was trying to...
Make him lose patience.
Yeah. Charlie's very patient, patiently writing there. So when I think about, it was difficult to think about how to speak about Holy Mother's patience, because her life and her examples don't fall into discrete, identifiable categories like that would make it easy to talk about. So what I sort of did was impose some categories just to make it a little easier to talk about her. And as I wrote here, it's not possible to convey something also that's perfect through an imperfect mind and through words, which are just approximations of reality. And so with all these limitations, I'm going to just discuss a few aspects of Holy Mother's perfect example, focusing on what her example can teach us. So the first aspect of what Holy Mother's example of patience can teach us is that through patience, we extend love, consideration, and compassion to others, and we can help contribute to a more peaceful social environment. Holy Mother's actions exemplified how patience is a form of selfless love and how this love can transform others and bring peace to social situations. We know that Holy Mother expressed endless patience with her family on various fronts. To say that her extended family relations were full of drama would be an understatement. In fact, it makes reality TV look pretty tame, actually, the amount of different dramas that she had in her family life. And there's a chapter, there's a book on Holy Mother by Swami and there's a chapter in that book called In the Setting of Domestic Life. And in that chapter, there are so many examples of different things that happened, the different ways that her family gave her a difficult time. She had so much that she had to forbear. In particular, as many of you know, Holy Mother was especially involved in the life of her niece, Radu, who had many problems. The tie between Holy Mother and Radu had both practical and spiritual basis, as it kept Holy Mother's mind bound to the earthly plane so that she could serve and guide so many devotees. At the same time, Holy Mother endured much mistreatment. And through her patience, she sought to transform her family, as difficult as it was. So here's just one example of Holy Mother's patience with Radu. After Radu had a baby, she became addicted to opium. Again, this is the Holy Mother's niece. The Holy Mother's niece became addicted to opium. Holy Mother tried to wean her off it, but Radu became insistent and demanded money because she wanted to buy more. And when Holy Mother refused, Radu was very angry. She picked up a large eggplant and hurled it at Holy Mother, striking her, and Holy Mother hurled backward in pain. Holy Mother then looked at a picture of Sri Ramakrishna with folded hands and said, "Please forgive her misdemeanor, for she is senseless." We can see that Holy Mother didn't take such attacks and slights personally. She did not and could not find fault with others. Clearly, she did much to try to improve Radu's life through her actions, but she didn't place blame on her. Importantly, being patient doesn't mean being apathetic. Holy Mother also suffered when devotees would come and touch her feet, as when this happened, she absorbed their pain, bad thoughts, and misdeeds. And this would cause her great pain, especially in her legs and feet. So many distressed people sought to touch her feet. At times, she seems to have expressed concern about the effects of that, but she stopped herself from bringing it up to those who allowed the people to visit her, the gatekeepers, because she worried that then the people might just stop everybody from visiting her, and then they would no longer have the benefit of her presence and her darshan. Thus, her compassion for others far outweighed her concerns about herself, and she maintained a patient attitude toward those who sought to see her. Holy Mother's patience thus shows how we can rise above ego and serve others by taking an attitude of patience and compassion. The second aspect of what Holy Mother's example of patience can teach us is that through patience, we are working out past karmas and should avoid blaming others. Or another sort of more ecumenical way to say this would be that patience can help guide us through suffering so that we're open to the lessons that it can teach us. Holy Mother's message was that suffering is inherent to the human condition, and one must bear the suffering with patience and calm, whether a minor inconvenience or a major blow in one's life. Frankly, to be impatient about our suffering might just make it worse, leading us to become angry and thus causing more suffering to ourselves and others. Holy Mother said, quote, "One suffers as a result of one's own karma. So instead of blaming others for such sufferings, we should bear them with patience in all circumstances." According to Swami Vishwanatha, Holy Mother once told a disciple that suffering is a gift from God, and that disease and spiritual austerity are equally productive. As Swami Vishwanatha points out, seeking meaning from a difficult experience can provide comfort. And this isn't to say that we should wish for suffering on ourselves, but that we should instead know that whatever comes, patience can be a beneficial tool in facing misery. It can help us from falling into a pattern of complaining and burdening others with our difficulties. And at the same time, this doesn't mean that we should be callous to the suffering of others. Rather, just as we can regard suffering as a gift, if our mind can accept that, we are also provided a gift when we have opportunities to help alleviate the suffering of others. We can see Holy Mother's approach to how she endured her own suffering with patience. One reason is that she didn't want to blame anyone else for anything that happened to her. So she would say that it was her karma, and she would give a karmic reason, that perhaps she hadn't worshipped the right way, and that's why something bad happened. Part of the reason that she might have done this is that people were so devoted to her and worried tremendously that they might have done something to harm her in any way, and she wanted to keep others from feeling that they had caused her pain. And such was the case of a physician who had an idea about a plant that might help with the rheumatism in Holy Mother's knee. The physician brought a young monk with him to find the plant, told the monk how to apply it with much caution, and then sent him back to the Holy Mother. But as soon as the monk applied the preparation, Holy Mother cried out in agony and tears ran down her cheeks. People started to rush in, rebuking the physician who had suggested the treatment. Also, the young monk who had applied the treatment felt terrible about it. But Holy Mother didn't blame either of them at all, saying it was her own fault for expecting the treatment to work after so many other treatments had failed. She then sent for someone to create an antidote, which worked, and all relaxed upon seeing Holy Mother smiling. And this is just one of many incidents in Holy Mother's life where she bore suffering and patience so as to not hurt another person's feelings. And then the third aspect of what Holy Mother's example of patience can teach us is that through patience, we can practice renunciation. Holy Mother even provides advice as to how to go about being patient. She said, "Don't be afraid. Human birth is full of suffering, and one has to endure everything patiently, taking the name of God. None, not even God in human form, can escape the sufferings of the body and mind." When we're patient and in good faith try to help others or try to help ourselves along the spiritual path, we might find that patience doesn't bring the expected results. So we might think, oh, if I'm patient enough, this person's behavior will improve. And sometimes we feel that way. The person needs more patience. In the case of Holy Mother, surely with her presence, her love, patience, and compassion, innumerable people improved, but some did not, including some members of her own family. So not being attached to the results of one's own patience is important. Once patience becomes self-serving, it's more like a business attitude and less of a spiritual quality. As mentioned, there are many stories of how Holy Mother expressed patience with her family members. And here's another one to illustrate this point about renunciation, also taken from Swami Tapasyananda's book. One day, Holy Mother was seated at the edge of the outer veranda of her home. Suddenly, her two brothers began to quarrel about a hedge put up by one of the brothers, and they were about to come to blows. The Holy Mother, unable to witness the quarrel any longer, went herself to pacify them. Now she would blame one, now she would restrain the other, and the brothers ultimately each went into their own homes, still verbally abusing each other. At first, Holy Mother's mood seemed agitated, but as she went back to her seat on the veranda, she burst into laughter, saying, "What an illusion! Here in this infinite world, and what one calls one's own possession will be left behind at death. It's a wonder that men cannot see this simple truth." We see that despite Holy Mother's patient guidance, her brothers could not at all recognize truth. Rather than being sad or perturbed by it, or being angry at her brothers, Holy Mother regarded the incident in its broadest scope, that while one might be patient and resolve problems in a balanced way, one shouldn't be attached to outcomes in the material world. So to wrap things up a little bit after these three points, in conclusion, Swami Vivekananda had said that purity, patience, and perseverance are the three essentials to success, and above all, love. Holy Mother exemplified all of these great qualities. And importantly, in case I didn't highlight it enough, she infused all with love, a patient love that enabled her to serve each person in the best way possible. We can apply ourselves to walk in her footsteps and through patience, express our love for each other through kindness, and develop a better understanding of how to face difficulties in our lives. If we don't know exactly how to overcome our own impatience, we can ask for guidance and keep reading the stories of her life so that her presence can seep into our minds and hearts. So may we all appreciate the great lessons that Holy Mother has given to us throughout her life and teachings, and may we continue to seek her inspiration to become more patient towards others as well as towards ourselves. Thank you. Thank you.
Today I'm going to talk about the uniqueness of Holy Mother. Thank you very, very much, Swamiji, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this truly blessed occasion of the birthday of Sharda Devi, the Holy Mother, whom even the incarnation of the age, Sri Ramakrishna, described as Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning and wisdom. And Sri Ramakrishna later worshipped her as the Divine Mother herself. As Goddess Saraswati, Sharda Devi is bestowing wisdom, and as the Divine Mother, she is showering motherly love on all her entire creation. And Swami Sarvagatananda, who was the assistant minister and later the minister of Boston and Providence Centers, here for more than 50 years, he used to tell us that the Holy Mother is unique and special. He used to say that Swami Vivekananda is absolutely right when he says that Holy Mother is precious and she is even greater than Sri Ramakrishna. And she is born to revive Shakti in India. Without the grace of Shakti, Swami Vivekananda said, nothing will be accomplished. And Sister Nivedita said that behind the guise of simplicity, Holy Mother was one of the strongest and greatest of women. All the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna have given moving tributes. And in this short talk, we shall explore the uniqueness of Sharda Devi, why this mother has no parallel. She is unique and special. Beyond the universe of matter and mind, there is the pulse of the mother heart, the energy of compassion, love, understanding, sympathy, and a protective attitude, all that we associate with the ideal of a loving mother. Over centuries, this concept of God as mother has influenced human thinking and has led to holistic and integrative personality among the believers of all faiths, but only in a nascent form. Sister Nivedita quotes Swami Vivekananda, his words about the reality of the Divine Mother of the universe. This is in the Master as I Saw Him. Swami Vivekananda says, "You see, I cannot but believe that there is a great power in the universe that thinks of herself as feminine and called Kali and Mother, and I believe in Brahman too." So we are also lucky that this pulse of mother heart behind the universe, behind the cosmos, decided to incarnate herself as Sharda Devi in 1853. Sharda became the perfect role model in her various relationships as daughter, sister, wife, mother, as well as householder and nun. She was the great inspirer of monks and devotees. Her life is a glowing example of Vedanta in practice. She demonstrated how to commune with God while living an active life in the world, how to lead a life that is both active and contemplative, how to adjust oneself through forbearance and forgiveness, how to cultivate peace and joy in one's daily life through love, compassion, humility, selfless service, detachment, and devotion. And with the advent of Holy Mother Sharda Devi, for the first time in the history of the entire world, an incarnation is associated with universal motherhood. She is the mother of all. We see Sharda Devi is nothing other than the mother of all. She did not care for any other attribute. She was the very fountain or source of the universal creative power. She had totally and unambiguously transcended all the polarities of life, like virtue and vice, good and bad, knowledge and ignorance, purity and impurity. She had no need to undergo any austere disciplines to attain this, for it was natural to her. She is the fullest manifestation of mother power. This is the uniqueness of Sharda Devi. There is no example of such intense and immense mother power in the past. Holy Mother herself remarked, "The Master had the attitude of a mother towards all in the world. It is to spread and glorify that motherly attitude that the Master has left me behind." Spirit above matter has been the watchword of all great incarnations the world has produced. Purity, devotion, self-control, moral courage, ethical excellence, unselfish love, all these have been valued more than mere material possessions and sense enjoyments. How to transcend human imperfections and manifest the divine lying deep within the individual has been the central theme of the progressive unfoldment of human life throughout the centuries. The pages of world history are illumined by the lives of saintly men and women radiating their brilliance in so many different spheres of action. The essential divinity of man, Aham Brahmasmi, and the fundamental unity beneath the infinite diversity of nature, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, are two basic truths that man has preserved all through civilization. The supreme achievement of human life consists in diving deep beneath the superficial varieties of nature and realizing one's essential identity with the Supreme Soul. Many a blessed soul, having established himself or herself in outstanding purity, has demonstrated to the world the supreme worth of perfect self-abnegation as the last step towards the life whose head touches the starry firmament. And here we have Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, two great examples. Although human society is hinged on noble and lofty ideals, It is not possible for any society to cling to such ideals for any lengthy period of time, and the human mind gravitates towards the material plane. There inevitably has to be ebb and flow in social life, a period of decadence followed by a period of resurgence. The latest resurgence emerged in the 19th century. The inspirer of this resurgence was Sri Ramakrishna. He was between 1836 and 1886. In the wake of his glorious life of 50 years, a tidal wave of spirituality has started rolling in all directions throughout the world. Regarding this renaissance, Swami Vivekananda proclaimed, before the effulgence of this new awakening, the glory of all past revivals will pale like stars before the rising sun, and compared with this mighty manifestation of renewed strength, all the past epochs of such restoration will be like child's play. In this new age, woman occupies a special position. She glows with a luster hitherto unknown. Sri Ramakrishna has raised the ideal of womanhood to an unprecedented height of glory. He worshipped and realized the goddess Kali. He accepted a highly gifted, devout woman in Bhairavi Brahmani as his spiritual guide. He offered ritualistic homage at the feet of his own wedded wife at the time of Shodashi Puja, and regarded all women as Divine Mother. To crown all, he left for the world to see this splendid ideal, a perfect model in the person of his immaculate spiritual consort, Sharda Devi. There are a number of biographies of Holy Mother available, and each book is a worthy memorial to Sharda Devi, in whom the Indian womanhood not only fulfills but transcends its purely Indian character and assumes world significance. She impressed all those who had the privilege of meeting her as an embodiment of grace, purity, and simplicity. Sister Nivedita said of her, "To me, it has always appeared that she is Sri Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. But is she the last of an old order or the beginning of a new? In her, one sees realized that wisdom and sweetness to which the simplest of women may attain. And yet, to myself, the stateliness of her courtesy and her great open mind are almost as wonderful as her sainthood. I have never known her to hesitate in giving utterance to large and generous judgment, however new or complex might be the question put before her. She rises to the height of every situation. With unerring intuition, she goes straight to the heart of the matter, and yet she is so full of music, all gentleness, all playfulness." Sharda Devi was born of poor but pious and cultured parents on Thursday, December 22nd, 1853, in an obscure village named Jairambati in West Bengal. It is said that both her parents had divine, mysterious visions. Holy Mother herself recounts, my birth was like the Master's. My mother went to Shihar to see the deity. On the way, she felt as if air entered her womb, making her feel very heavy. Then my mother saw a little girl of 5 or 6 clad in a red sari descending from the tree. She put her tender arms around my mother's neck and endearingly said, "Mother, I come to your home." That girl entered my mother's womb, and thus was I born. When divine beings are born, guardian angels accompany them. Reminiscing about her early life, Holy Mother said, "A young girl resembling me used to walk with me and help me in my work. We had great fun together. When I entered the pond to cut grass for the cattle, this girl went with me. As I took a bundle of grass to the bank and returned to the pond for more grass, I found she had already another bundle ready for me." And when Holy Mother was about 3 years old, about 2.5 maybe, she was taken to Shantinath Shiva temple at Srihar to attend a music performance. Ramakrishna too had come from Kamarpukur. When the performance was over, a village woman teasingly asked Sharda, a little girl, whom among the young boys she would like to marry. And with her little tiny finger there, Sharda pointed straight at Ramakrishna. Her wish to marry Ramakrishna was fulfilled when Sharda was 5 years and 5 months old. Ramakrishna was 23 years and 3 months old, and they were married in May 1859. After the wedding, of course, Sharda glided into her girlhood days in her parental home, slipping back to her normal course of life. And Holy Mother says, when I was 13, I went to Kamarpukur. Ramakrishna was not there, and she stayed with her brother-in-law, Rameshwar, and Rameshwar's wife, Shakambari. At that time, when I went to Haldarpukur to bathe, 8 young maidens suddenly appeared, apparently from nowhere. 4 of them walked in front of me and 4 behind. Thus guarded, I walked, and all of us bathed, and they would bring me home. A momentous event took place the following year. In 1867, Sharda is now 14 years old, a young adolescent girl. This is the part that when Swami Sarvagatananda used to tell us, tears would roll down. He was so moved by this particular incident. Now Sharda is at Kamarpukur, Sri Ramakrishna is there. And Sri Ramakrishna had come to Kamarpukur after a gap of 6.5 years. Ramakrishna is now 31 years old. He had practiced various sadhanas, including Tantra, all the bhavas, Vedanta in all aspects, and even Islam. He had raced through the entire range of spiritual realizations, culminating in the goal of merging the self in the one reality beneath the passing panorama of nature. Divinity was fully manifest in him. Sri Ramakrishna perceived nothing but God within and all around. By the grace and command of the Divine Mother, he was then established in Bhavamukha, the threshold of relative consciousness for the love and service of humanity. And Sharda Devi got her training from Sri Ramakrishna. Under Sri Ramakrishna's guidance, the training started both secular and spiritual. The training was thorough. Ramakrishna was the greatest teacher, so he had to be very thorough in every respect relating to both secular and spiritual matters. He taught her how to serve God, how to serve Guru, how to take care of the guests, how to perform household work skillfully, how to spend money discreetly, and how to become an expert in dealing with people according to place, time, and circumstance. And most important of all, how to surrender everything to God, how to develop love and devotion to God. The great master had set an example of his own ideal life, endowed with unbroken chastity. It is enough to say that Sharda was fully satisfied with the master's chaste and pure love. And Sri Ramakrishna in turn saw in the young teenager a fit student, full of enthusiasm and energy, so simple, so sincere and earnest, fully attentive and focused. He taught her lovingly, and she in turn marveled at the high state of his mind and heart. Both the teacher and taught were in unalloyed bliss. Sharda saw that Sri Ramakrishna was free and frank, happy and cheerful. He always radiated joy. Ramakrishna conquered the heart of his young wife with pure love and poured spiritual wisdom into it. And she said, at that time I felt as if a jar of bliss full to the brim was placed in my heart. It is impossible to describe the divine joy I felt. And Swami Sarvagatananda used to say, look, the great genius Narendranath took 5 years, and the little Sharda took 7 months. And what a great person she was. Nobody will ever equal her, he used to say. After spending 7 months at Kamarpukur, Sharda left for Jairambati and Ramakrishna left for Dakshineshwar. Sharda's life was totally transformed by now. She had become very gentle, very thoughtful, unselfish. All worldly desires were erased from her heart completely. She had become infinitely sympathetic. She had become the very embodiment of compassion, content in every respect and constantly absorbed within herself. She passed her days at her parents' house, waiting for an opportunity to see the Master and be with him. And Swami Sarvagatananda used to say that these are the signs of the perfect soul and actually an incarnation of God. This is the end of all spiritual life. Her earnest longing to be with Sri Ramakrishna was fulfilled after 4 years and 3 months. In March 1872, Sharda joined her husband, who welcomed her with cordial greetings, love and compassion. As Sharda was suffering from fever, Sri Ramakrishna promptly placed her under medical treatment and personally looked after her. One day, Sri Ramakrishna asked his 19-year-old wife whether she had come to drag him down to the worldly plane. No, came her prompt and dignified reply. Why should I pull you down? I have come to help you in your chosen path. And both of them tested each other. And Sharda Devi spent about 18 months in the inspiring company of her husband. Day and night she observed how Sri Ramakrishna, scarcely aware of his physical surroundings, would remain absorbed in divine communion. His absolutely stainless mind would ceaselessly roam in the spiritual realm through various visions and ecstasies, losing itself often in samadhi. He was radiating peace and purity, and Sri Ramakrishna's first and foremost disciple, Sharda, observed from close range the beatitude of an intensely spiritual life. Sri Ramakrishna taught her to recognize different kinds of superconscious states and utter different mantras suited to each state to bring his mind to the normal plane. The holy couple came to have a deep affection for each other, and both treated the other as God himself or herself. On one auspicious new moon night, Sri Ramakrishna made Sharda Devi sit on a special seat in his room and worshipped her as Divine Mother, observing meticulously the rituals prescribed by the Tantras for Shodashi Puja. Soon the worshipped and the worshipper transcended the physical plane and merged in the self. Sri Ramakrishna clearly saw the Divine Mother in flesh and blood before him, and he surrendered himself to her along with all the merits earned by him and laid down at her feet the sacred rosary. He prostrated himself before her, uttering the prescribed salutation. And then this is the moment that Sharda Devi was transformed into Holy Mother. Holy Mother's ministry. Holy Mother's spiritual ministry commenced when Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly instructed her in vision to initiate yogin, who later became Swami Yogatmananda. When she was in Vrindavan in 1887, she returned to Kolkata in May 1888 after her pilgrimage to Vrindavan and other places, and her close devotees were awestruck to notice a momentous change in her mental outlook and behavior. Her mind, scarcely conscious of the surroundings, would almost always remain within its depths. Her face, beaming with a unique heavenly grace, would radiate peace and joy all about her. With perfect calmness and an exceptionally sweet and dignified bearing, she appeared altogether in a new light. Holy Mother was established firmly on the pedestal of spiritual motherhood, and urged by superhuman compassion, she was about to release her divine power of helping numerous people out of avidya. The mighty stream of spirituality that had been flowing unobserved beneath the surface came to open view. Her spiritual ministration was open to all and sundry that sincerely craved her grace. No matter how many errors or sins the suffering souls had committed, she gladly took upon herself all their sins and suffered vicariously. In spite of such hardships, she was loath to turn away anyone. Moved by boundless compassion, she seemed to be bearing the cross for the redemption of her erring children. That was verily the mission of her life, till the very end of her life. Had not the Master Sri Ramakrishna on the eve of his departure said to her, "The people of Calcutta live like worms in darkness. You should look after them," she fulfilled her mission with indomitable zeal and patience. It was not for her to pick and choose her disciples. She traveled extensively, and wherever she was the perennial source of universal goodwill. Gradually, the number of children multiplied. Some of these were pure and advanced souls, but even the worst among them was no less her child, deserving her unstinted affection and grace. All received what they wanted. Indeed, a glance or a touch of the Holy Mother was sufficient to alter the course of a disciple's life. The capacity of wielding such a tremendous spiritual power, according to Swami Vivekananda, marks out a divine incarnation from a perfected soul. Holy Mother did not follow any set of rules while initiating a spiritual aspirant. Like a blazing fire, she could immediately kindle spiritual fervor in any number of aspiring souls. Holy Mother knew perfectly well what a responsible task fell on her. She once said, "Is initiation a mere trifle? What a heavy burden the Guru has to carry on the shoulders. How anxiously one has to think of the disciples' well-being." Day and night she would pray for the welfare of her disciples. And she said, "All these disciples come to me with great longing and take initiation, but most of them do not practice japa regularly. Many do nothing at all. Therefore I do japa for their sake, and I pray to the Master constantly, saying, 'O Lord, awaken their spiritual consciousness, give them liberation.'" Humble as she was, she never claimed any credit for the grace that descended and ascribed it to the Master as a source. She had effaced her personality altogether. Holy Mother, the bestower of fearlessness, is the most compassionate mother, the most forgiving mother, the most loving mother. She says, "Why are you afraid, my child? Remember always that you have your mother behind you." There is no other example of such a mother till now. Holy Mother indeed is unique and special. And there is one particular incident where Holy Mother not only is the mother of all, but she is one of the most courageous of all people, and how she solved even extremely difficult crisis situations in a very simple manner. Swami Chetanananda writes, Swami Vivekananda named Holy Mother Sangajanini, the mother of the order. She always nurtured and protected the order, especially during critical times. In December 1916, Sir Thomas Carmichael, later on called Lord Carmichael, the governor of Bengal, accused the Ramakrishna mission of giving shelter. 1916. Yeah, December 1916. Yeah. So Lord Carmichael became the governor of Bengal, and he accused the Ramakrishna mission of giving shelter to political revolutionaries under the umbrella of its philanthropic activities. The proclamation said, "These revolutionaries seize the opportunity which membership in a charitable society like the Ramakrishna mission gives them to meet and influence the boys who have noble ideas but who have not enough experience to judge where a particular course must lead." The government discovered that some revolutionaries had been inspired by Swami Vivekananda's books. So they surmised that the monks of the Ramakrishna order were behind the freedom movement. The governor's remark created great apprehension among the monastics as well as the general public. And so many of the other Swamis and well-wishers of the mission went to Secretary Swami Sharadananda and begged him to remove the monks who had a revolutionary background from the order. And Swami Sharadananda was also depressed. And then he was so concerned. And then Swami Sharadananda later on recalls, "I went to Holy Mother and informed her of the whole situation. She listened to me calmly, and for the Divine Mother of the Universe, no crisis is really great." So she took it very calmly, and she said, "The Master was the embodiment of truth. These boys have taken shelter in the Master. They have embraced his ideal. They have become monks, renouncing their families. They have shunned personal worldly enjoyment and dedicated their lives to serve the country and the suffering people. So you had better go to the governor and meet him. He is the representative of the king. If you explain to him the activities of the Ramakrishna mission, he will definitely listen." And the Ramakrishna Mutt and mission have come into existence by the will of the Master. To break the rules of the monastic order due to the pressure and rage of the government is adharma. Those who have taken the monastic vows and surrendered to the Master will stay in the monastery. And even if they have to take shelter under a tree, they will not deviate from the truth. The mother's resolute statement reassured everyone. Swami Sharadananda followed Holy Mother's advice. He consulted with the attorneys. And then a meeting was set up between the governor and Swami Sharadananda on 10th March 1917. On that day, the Swami talked to the governor for about an hour. And on 26th March 1917, Lord Carmichael wrote a letter to Swami Shardananda. Dear Sir, I thank you for having come to see me and for the trouble you have taken to tell me about the origin of the Ramakrishna mission and its aims and objects. I read with great interest the memorial which the mission authority submitted to me some time ago. I regret very much to hear that words used by me at the Darbar in December last regarding the mission should have led in any way to the curtailment of the good religious, social, and educational work the mission has done and is doing. As you, I know, realize, my object was not to condemn the Ramakrishna mission and its members. I know the character of the mission's work is entirely non-political, and I have heard nothing but good of its work of social service for the people. Yours very sincerely, Carmichael. It was very unusual for a British governor to apologize for a statement, to retract in writing, but the great success Holy Mother attributed to Swami Shardananda. And then Holy Mother used to say, do you notice the gigantic heart of Sharat? He is like Vasuki. Wherever there is rain, Sharat spreads his umbrella. Sharat is a large-hearted person, and his heart cries out on behalf of suffering people. He is serving and feeding all like a protector. And she prayed to the Master, Master, supply Sharat with everything, give him plenty so that he can provide enough for all. So that is Holy Mother. And then Swami Chetanananda says, so Holy Mother has brought 3 gifts for all of us. And he says, I have tried in this book to show how the compassionate Holy Mother nourished humanity with these life-giving virtues: faith, hope, and love. Let Holy Mother give us all hope, faith, and love. Let's pray. Thank you all.
Dear friends, I feel blessed and really fortunate to be able to listen to this wonderful symposium where we all heard 2 exceptionally brilliant orations on Holy Mother. It is, you just heard Vishwanath. I have been hearing Vishwanath for now last about 16, 17 years, and he has a very forceful way of presenting anything. In fact, even if something cannot be defended, his orations can make you accept that. So had Holy Mother not been unique, he would have made her unique by his orations. But Holy Mother really being unique, his orations were not really needed to prove that, but just to make another solid affirmation of the truth. It is very important to see Holy Mother from all these human aspects. And I refer also here to what Donna Maurer said. She has a very critical, analytical mind to bring about that section about, how the patience and perseverance that we see in Holy Mother's life, and we all desperately need those things, that when we see it manifested like this in just another human being, then we feel that yes, it is possible for me to acquire these things for my own benefit. Like somebody, is suffering from one malady, and then sees another person suffering from the same disease, has been cured by one medication, sees that, well, then it will work for me as well. So when we see Holy Mother responding to really, really tiresome situations in various ways, in various situations in life. Well, how she responds to it, we can take lessons from that for our own benefit. Let us not feel, because when we cannot be patiently dealing with certain situations, we go to justify our impatience by saying, well, she was after all Holy Mother. Am I that? I am not that. Well, that is true, but that is what the example that we need to follow. Let us not say that, well, that is, she was after all divine. Well, why did she take the human form? To become an example for us to emulate, to learn from, to follow. Maybe we are not going to become 100% like us right now, but let us start with our baby steps. That is the way to respond to the great exemplification given to us by this unique personality, Holy Mother. That let us never say that, no, it is not possible for me. I will get agitated. I will get angry. I will throw tantrums. No. Let us not do that. Let us see in that situation how she responded. And then what happened? The result is there. You feel calm, composed, peaceful in your heart. After all, we all want peace. And whose responsibility it is primarily to keep me peaceful? Isn't it our own responsibility primarily? The world has not taken the contract to keep us peaceful. In fact, the world would be acting in opposite way. And yet, we have to take up this challenge to remain composed, peaceful. That will help us to take the right decisions. It is a great idea, friends, to implement. Practically, it is Holy Mother's life is just a practical life led in most ordinary background like ours. And yet, she has manifested that divine principle in all its human aspects. That is where it becomes tremendously helpful. As you know, in the beginning I was telling that Holy Mother is far beyond logic, far beyond the just understanding. Her words would carry the force immediately. It doesn't need any argumentation. Whatever she wanted to tell would just get there, even sometimes without uttering a single word. It would just enter there unknowingly. It is the experience of so many people that how Holy Mother's influence enters them. There is no logical explanation. One very telling example of this is, look at the relation, the interaction between Swami Vivekananda, erstwhile Narendranath, and Sri Ramakrishna, full of logical argumentation. And it is, Narendranath would always challenge Sri Ramakrishna's statements. Why? How do you think like that? Well, Divine Mother showed me like... Divine Mother showed me, I think that they are just the imaginations of your own mind. and Narendranath would vehemently criticize and challenge Sri Ramakrishna's statements. And with Holy Mother, no argument. When Holy Mother said something, that's it. That's it. No challenge. Just to be just accepted, that's all. When they were having the preparations for Durga Puja, the worship of Divine Mother, and the ritual requires an animal sacrifice. And they were the monks and others, including Vivekananda, they had accepted that because they are going to follow all the rituals, and this also. And when Holy Mother knew this plan, she said, no animal sacrifice will be done. And then somebody said, but it is in the book, it is mentioned, Holy Mother did not enter into argument, did not gave any logical explanation for what she is telling. She just said, well, I don't know about all that, but I see before me the waters of Ganges becoming all red. No further argument. It was just stopped. It was never, it didn't start at all. So that is the power. And Narendranath would just accept whatever she has told without argumentation. Imagine, the contrast between their personalities. If you see from outside, Narendranath, whose intellect and the tremendous learning that he had could just challenge anybody in the world. Nobody was kind of even equal. You know that at Harvard University here, that so many professors of science, they thought they will corner Vivekananda by their scientific arguments and just will show that all what you are saying is nonsense. But when they started talking to Vivekananda and they started talking about chemistry, they soon realized that Swami Vivekananda has studied more chemistry, read more books on chemistry than all of them put together. So it is very difficult to see that how Vivekananda's that tremendously tall, sky-high intellectual brilliance. Holy Mother, practically illiterate village woman, not given to argumentation, remained with veil. Such lady, and yet her one word was enough to cut across all these arguments that Narendranath would even think of. No word would get uttered. Look at this tremendous strength that she had manifested. That is why her life is such a great example, and her influence just carries it within. When her centenary was going to be celebrated in 1953, so the monks of the Ramakrishna order, the headquarters and various different heads of the centers, they thought, after all, general public, how much does it know about Holy Mother? What will they think if we decide to do this celebration on a big way? So we shall keep it limited, you see, because people don't know much about Holy Mother, and they would pass comments on Holy Mother. It is, you see, therefore, but soon they realized that it is, who are you? Holy Mother was arranging everything herself. It is really, that is how everywhere Holy Mother's this centenary celebration got done in huge scale. People became, so involved and enthusiastic about it. So, friends, as Vishwanath ended his talk by begging for the grace of Holy Mother, may her life become an inspiration and guidance for all of us. I join my voice in that prayer, and here we conclude today's symposium. Now, in a few minutes, we will have the Sri Sarada Devi Nama Sankirtan, 108 verses, in which her life is presented, and yesterday we also had done it too. So the great beauty of it is that it is Holy Mother as human as well as Holy Mother as the Divine Mother. Both these things have been so beautifully intermingled in this great long hymn that I always like to recite it. So I request our Peter to join with his guitar accompaniment, and also our Koel for tabla